Ubuntu Mate 24.04 Noble Numbat Beta. Well, you're probably wondering, what about the beta? We're going to give it a test. Now, don't get too excited because I have some bad news for you, and you're going to find out very quickly when we boot this thing up. So I'm going to go ahead and... Is my USB stick in my Mac?
You want to recover?
Yes, it is. I'm going to go ahead and remove it, and then we're going to go ahead and boot my existing machine.
See what's new in Mac OS Ventura.
We're going to boot my existing machine from it. And I'm going to explain what is wrong with it. And visually impaired Ubuntu users like myself, take note, because this... I can't believe Canonical failed this. You're going to find out really quickly why I don't recommend this. At least doing a fresh install anyway. Now this will probably boot back into LMDE. Yeah, I've got LMDE on this computer. LMDE 6 to be precise. It's really good as a LMDE. But by the looks of it, it looks like we are booting into Ubuntu Mate. If I know my computer's behaviour patterns. Now, if you've installed Ubuntu before, you should hear a sound. So we'll just wait a bit. I'm going to try turning on Orca. Okay, we're still not in it yet.
Screen reader on. Ubuntu Mate installer frame. Panel left control.
We are already in the installer, as you can see. And that is a good thing. However, you'll notice really quick that we did not hear a sound. So that means you wouldn't know that you could turn on Orca. You'd have to use something like Google Lookout for Android, or
Icon view left control.
or Seeing AI.
Desktop. Icon view.
And now we're on the desktop because the installer closed. So now we're stuck. We're going to change all the settings though, at least.
Progress trailer, beacon space. Check let rate speak keep general voice speak time. Enable mosit punctures on. Let NA speak trail echo task NA space. Enable echo my sentence checkbox not checked. Let enable echo page tab key binding pronunciation text tab general page voice page general text tab review tab text tab pronounce key echo page OK cancel OK return.
Okay.
Screen reader settings reloaded. Desktop.
Now I recommend you go straight away to the disks app, and we're going to format our main drive.
Panel. Menu toggle button. Disk H. Menu new disk image. Menu top disk H. Menu top format disk.
Format disk.
Format disk dialog. Erase combo box. Don't overwrite
existing data. Quick.
Partitioning combo box. Compatible with mono partitioning.
No partitioning. Empty.
Cancel format.
I'm going to get rid of everything on here.
Information. Format push button.
I'm going to click format.
Disk frame. Menu toggle button not pressed. Drive options.
Now give it a few seconds before we launch the installer. I might as well go through all the pre-installed apps anyway, so that you know that this is Ubuntu Mate, We are indeed on the Morte desktop, of course. So while that's erasing the disk, let's go through everything we've got.
Clock disks and ramper mate max passwords and plan bloomer red shit 8 ubuntu mate guide weather backups character graphics document on LibreOffice mate shot document on grab internet app center Firefox web browser.
We've got a new app store, which is epic, by the way.
Transmission.
However, it's not accessible.
App center into office menu.
But it's nice to know it's there.
Actual make actual office sound celluloid ribbon sound webcam voice celluloid assistant carja firmware GVMIG part long file mate to powers for carja firmware GVMIG part long file mate powers assist universal access menu places system mid apps install release mate you printer software update apps and install release.
Now we're going to click install release to launch the installer again.
Menu toggle button not panel grade.
Now the installer is quick to launch, but what you're going to notice is, let me turn up my volume here.
Ubuntu mate install.
And suffice it to say, it's not letting me do it, so I'm going to have to turn it up on the speakers here instead.
Panel grade. And kata checks in and Deutsch East English.
Now, I can't tab because if I do so,
Espanol.
It's going to select the next language.
English.
Canonical didn't think to test this out. This reminds me of Solus, and I'm not going to be doing a fresh install of Solus on this channel at all because they're ditching the Morte desktop. So,
Unlock off.
an advanced Linux user like me would know to turn on flat review,
Espanol.
but a brand new to Linux user wouldn't know how to do this.
Use car next.
So I'm going to go click the next button, if it'll let me to.
Ubuntu mate install.
Oh yeah, it has.
Push button. Push back next. Push button.
What do you know? These accessibility buttons aren't labelled.
Button push see customize seating.
So you're going to have to read all these.
Push button hearing. But push seating. Customize Ubuntu mate to your needs before you set up. You can change them later in system settings.
So this is the
push button, push button.
This is the accessibility setup.
Pointing button, pointing and clicking, but push, to push here, but push seating, customize Ubuntu seating. Push. Seating, push up here, push up, type, push up, pointing and push button, zoom, push up back, next.
Now click next.
Ubuntu mate installer. Panel grade.
I bet this won't set up accessibility for us, it never does.
Debunker panel. Panel grade. English UK.
We'll click English UK.
English Esperanto select your back next.
I've selected my keyboard, English UK. So I'm actually using flat review. So I'm actually using the mouse cursor.
Ubuntu mate installer. Connect to a Wi-Fi network.
Connect to a Wi-Fi network.
Checked.
So we can rest here. Connect to a Wi-Fi network.
PTW port 5N panel. ED Wi-Fi PTW port.
I want to connect to that network.
Wi-Fi. Back connect.
So, new to Linux users, when this becomes stable, this is a crucial command you're going to need to know. The numpad 4 goes backwards, numpad 6 goes forwards, and you're going to use the numpad divide key to click, because Canonical didn't test out the installer with Orca. So you're going to go from my instructions only. So keep this video bookmarked because it's going to help you, even if things do change, which are unlikely.
Connect.
I'm going to click connect. And
Wi-Fi network
there we go.
Password text.
Should ask for my Wi-Fi password. I'm going to type that in. If it's actually announcing things to me, which it isn't.
Show pass cancel connect. Ubuntu mate installer frame panel. Notification connection.
Oh, it is connected. In that case,
ED Wi-Fi PT.
In that case, we're going to click
Wi-Fi. Next.
Click next. And where are we now?
Ubuntu mate installer. Interactive installation for users who want to be guided step by step through the installation checkbox checked.
Interactive installation, I recommend you do that. That's checked by default. You can tab through these, by the way, I think.
Automated installation for advanced users who have an auto-install.yaml for consistent and repeatable system setups checkbox not checked.
Auto install, you can ignore that.
Back push, next push button.
And because we've tabbed to this, we can press space or enter. So I'm going to go press space because I'm used to it. Right. What do we have here?
Ubuntu Mate installer. Ubuntu Mate desktop. Minimize a minimal installation of the Ubuntu Mate desktop. Checkbox not checked.
I'm going to go for the minimal installation. I don't want any bloatware on this system.
Checked.
And if you've used Ubuntu Mate before, you'll know what's there. But if you're new to Linux, you're definitely going to want the full installation.
Ubuntu Mate desktop, a full featured Ubuntu Mate desktop. Checkbox not checked.
Which is this option.
Back push, next push
And
button.
we're going to click the next button. And this is where we should be in our partitioning step.
Ubuntu Mate installer. Install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware, including but not limited to NVIDIA drivers and similar. Checkbox not checked.
Well, you definitely want to check that if
Checked.
you've got proprietary drivers.
Download and install support
Download
for
and
additional
install.
media formats, including but not limited to MP3, MP4, MOV and similar. Checkbox not checked.
You'll definitely want to download these.
Checked.
You want to click checked on that one.
Back push, next push
And we're
button.
going to go click the next button.
Back push button. Ubuntu Mate installer. Erase disk and install Ubuntu Mate. Start from scratch on your selected disk. Non-selected advanced features. Disk. Erase.
Erase disk.
Disk. Next.
Click next.
Ubuntu Mate installer. Your name text.
Now, if you had a different system on your computer, then you'd be dual booting no matter what, because the erase disk doesn't work properly. But now I can type in my name.
J.
This dialog is not currently focused. Chrome has new win.
J.
Let's
J.
take it slowly.
J.
For some reason, Orca isn't reading characters I type,
J.
but visually they are appearing, and I've got no light perception whatsoever. But if you can see the screen on your installation, then yeah.
Your computer's name text.
My computer's
Tortoise
name.
Highway 5.
I'm going to call this machine
Text
Octo- Octopus because they're my favourite. They're my favourite underwater sea creatures.
Your username text.
My username?
Jordan selected.
That's fine.
Password text.
Luckily, Orca doesn't read passwords, which is a good thing.
Show push button. Confirm password text.
Confirm password.
Require my password to log in.
Require my password to log in.
Use active directory.
Use active
Checkbox not
directory.
checked.
We don't.
Back push, next
Yeah,
push,
click
back
next.
push button.
This is going to be a summary of our installation steps.
Ubuntu Mate installer. Location text. London, England.
Oh, this
United
is
Kingdom.
that's our time zone setting. So our location.
Time zone text. Europe
slash
London.
London.
Back push, next push, back push button.
It's important to connect to the internet before you even attempt this.
Install push button.
Now we just click install,
Back
and
push button.
that's just done a summary of our installation. Now you're probably saying to yourself, "Well, that wasn't too bad, was it?" Oh man, I can tell you right now, I don't like this new installer. I get where Canonical's going with this, but it's just not ready for prime time, and clearly I can't hear Orca doing any progress beeps, and on top of that, I don't think Ubuntu will save our settings either, which is another bad thing, like the legacy installer did. So I can keep tabbing, it's not doing anything. So you're going to have to keep mashing tab until you've got the option to reboot. So Canonical, this installer does have some good points, but please keep the legacy installer. Not just for my sake, but for distributions that don't want to use this installer. There are loads. I mean, my own distribution, Linux Mint, Zorin OS, what's that other one called? Linux Lite, Perl Linux. Obviously, Linux Mint will be using Ubiquity, but if it's going away from the repos, then quite frankly, there won't be any way for Linux Mint to reproduce it. Well, thankfully, I've got some good news for Linux Mint users. Ubiquity is going to be the default install for Linux Mint 22. But for accessible Coconut, which is a distribution that's based on Ubuntu Mate and a lot of visually impaired people who subscribe to my channel use right now, I'm afraid Nolan's going to be out of options. He'll have to give us a broken system, rebase on Debian, or discontinue the project altogether. But if he manages to get Ubuntu working with the Ubiquity installer in the 24.04 release, then that's going to amaze me, because I'll need to know how to do that to get my own distribution up and running. And if you want me to do a video of my own distribution, then please let me know in the comments, because I can't wait to show it you. Currently, it's based on Ubuntu 22.04. And while we're on the subject of that release of Ubuntu, I dare say, if you're currently using that release of Ubuntu and you do want to install Ubuntu 24.04, it's a no-brainer. Upgrade when it's ready. But if you're doing a fresh install, I don't think it's worth doing a fresh install. You're better off installing Ubuntu 22.0 first, and then upgrading directly to 24.04. Now, there is also the option of waiting for Linux Mint, because we know for now they're going to include Ubiquity. But the installer does work with Orca to some extent, but not very well, I'm afraid. And I am still tabbing, and the installation is still in progress. There is no audible progress bar. So what would a new to Linux user do in this rate? Especially one who's fully blind like me. They wouldn't know what they were doing. When you install Windows, you get audible installation progress. When you install macOS, you get audible installation progress. Now, Chrome OS Flex doesn't do that, but you can keep track of that pretty easily, and Chrome OS Flex is designed to be a lightweight operating system anyway, so it will not take this long to install. But I've tested this back last week, so my past experience with this, I'm basing it off of that. Luckily though, this is only beta, so things could change. But it needs you guys to help the devs out. Tell them that, look, this installer is not ready for screen reader use. It needs a little bit more testing. It's getting there though, but it's not 100. It's not what I call ready for an LTS. For Ubuntu 24.10 though, when it comes out in October this year, I'd say yeah, it'll be ready back then. But for 24.04, just stick with Ubiquity for now until you know that it's absolutely ready. Now, this installer was introduced in Ubuntu 23.04, and Canonical has had plenty of time to test it out since then. However, they provided installation images with Ubiquity, so you could go ahead and install those with the legacy installer and you were fine, including Ubuntu Mate, and Canonical actually had a legacy installer for you to use anyway. Now, Numpat Plus,
Ubuntu Mate 24.04 LTS. Join the community. Discussion and support. Ubuntu Mate Discourse. Ubuntu Mate Matrix. Social. Twitter. Development. Code. Bug tracker. Push button, push button, push button, push button.
and I'm seeing nothing here, just the slideshow. Now if you can hear that sound, that's my central heating system. Oh wow, what have Canonical done? I'm very disappointed in this installer. Accessibility support is a major highlight, but it's bad when the button is unlabeled and you don't even know if it's actually working or not. I mean, there should be indication to non-sighted users that the settings you've chosen are enabled. we'll have to check in the Mate desktop settings because there's an option in Mate to check if assistive technologies is turned on. And when people think of accessible Linux distributions, Ubuntu and Ubuntu Mate are at the top of the list.
Ubuntu mate installer.
Here we go.
Continue testing push
Continue
button.
testing. Our system has been installed.
Restart now push button.
So, installation has completed. So we're going to click restart. You may now remove your installation media. Thank you very much, computer. Let's go ahead and do that. And now we're restarting into our newly installed system. The first boot usually does take a while. And here we are. I just heard the bongo drum sound. Let's try and log in to our Ubuntu Mate system. Sure enough, Orca isn't on.
Screen reader on.
And of course,
Desktop.
we're not using the right
Left
voice
control.
either.
Screen tab. Keep progress trailer. Beeper space. Check. Let rate speak. Keep general voice speech tab.
So I've got to set all this up again.
Enable speech page. Braille echo page. Task. space.
Rain alarm 1642 approximately equals 9.7.
We know it's raining, rain alarm. Anyway, aside from that, I've set Orca up.
Okay, push return. Screen reader set.
Well, no, I haven't because I've not changed the voice I want to
Screen
use.
keyboard. General voice
Voice.
type. Speech system.
Speech system.
Speech synthesizer.
Speech
Combo box.
synthesizer.
Default synthesizer.
Default synthesizer. Let's see.
eSpeak NG.
I want eSpeak NG.
Speech system. Combo box. Speech.
Well,
Default
then again, the
synthesizer.
default synthesizer is eSpeak NG, so we didn't even need to change that.
Language. Combo F NGB.
Orca, on the other hand, is better than it was last year.
Speak white.
Good old
Okay, cancel. Okay, push screen reader settings reloaded. Desktop.
Now, I need to inform you guys that the installer issue is not an Orca problem, it's an installer problem. Orca is readily available and working really well. However, let's go to our launcher and see if we can assistive technologies. Did we enable these, or did it enable them for us when we went through that setup?
Enable assisted technologies checkbox not checked.
No, it didn't.
Checked.
Wow, why am I not surprised?
Keyboard accessibility
Okay, in this
push
case,
button.
we're going to have to set it up ourselves.
Mouse accessor help book close book preferred application.
Preferred applications.
Preferred
This way you can toggle Orca on.
visual panel. Orca screen reader combo box. Orca screen reader.
We're going to toggle Orca.
Run at start checkbox checked.
Run at start. Now it's already programmed to run at start, by the looks of things, but it isn't. For some weird reason, it's not turning on at the login screen. Well, obviously that won't work at all anyway because the Arctic greeter isn't accessible.
Mobility panel. Run at start help close push button. Assist enable keyboard mouse help close and log out.
Click
Log
close
out
and log
push
out.
button. 90 log out. Log out. Log out. Log out.
Yeah, we're going to log out. Let me try manually enabling Orca. Again, no accessibility. There is a way of making Arctic greeter accessible, by the way. Look at that. Despite the settings, it didn't turn on Orca for us.
Screen reader on.
Tips. See what's new in macOS Ventura.
I should have cleared that notification earlier. Anyway, now that we're on the desktop, what's new?
Desktop. Desk. Menu. Second and run mate cal.
Well, I've done a minimal install.
Mate black luma. Take carried.
And I got rid of all the bloatware. I am glad that the minimal install
Accessories.
was at the top, so thank you for that, Canonical.
Graphic.
Much appreciated that. But the accessibility support needs to be improved. Or at least give us an installer similar to Debian.
Internet apps. Firefox web browser.
So here's our App Center,
App Center.
which is the new default software store. Do we have internet?
App Center. Firefox web browser.
I'm going to go ahead and ping
Jordan.
Bing.
Bing.com. Bing.com. Temporary failure in name resolution.
Yet we don't have internet. Why am I not surprised?
Desktop and top panel. Top.
Our live settings were not saved. What time was on are we on?
4:46 10 p.m.
Our time is right.
Panel note. Unlock off.
Turn off and unlock.
Not menu. Indicator menu top Firefox panel notific not comment. Indicate setting men notificatory volume. What for DSS panel not menu. Not passive default
Where's
one
my,
volume. Charge data notify menu.
Where's my network option?
Menu. Connect to hidden Wi. Available network
Available
menu.
networks.
BT2 menu. Available network menu. BT9 PC BTW port 5.
Click
Wi-Fi net. Password tech. Wallet. Show pass cancel connect push. Jordan Octopus. Frame. Jordan Octopus. $. Notification connection established. You are now connected to the Wi-Fi network BTW port 5 N dot.
Now you can go ahead. Now we can go ahead and install updates, but I'm going to do those off camera. But before I end the video, let's go over my thoughts. Ubuntu Mate 24.04 and the Ubuntu release it's based on altogether, despite the installer, and I don't think that's going to get fixed whatsoever. I'm sorry guys, but despite how good it feels to use and the fact that Orca finally got rid of that Karja bug in 46, I just can't recommend it unless Canonical actually fixes the installer and gets it working properly, or they go back to the legacy installer. They offer an image with the legacy installer and they offer a one with the modern experimental installer. I still class this installer as experimental, just like this is experimental beta quality software. Of course, that's what it's there for. It's for beta testing. My mission with this install now is to beta test this until the end of the week, right leading up until next Thursday when this is officially released, and then hopefully Canonical will finally get things sorted out and Ubuntu Mate 24.04 would be a pretty decent LTS. But the way it stands, yeah, don't use this. If this is released in the state that it's in now, which I'm hoping it isn't, because Linux kernel 6.8's got some really unique features, especially for my specific speakers. We're getting the latest version of Orca, we're getting the latest version of LibreOffice at time of writing, we're getting the latest version of VLC, for now at least, and we're getting support for 12 years this time, which is kind of unique. Now, while desktop versions of Ubuntu support for 3 years, you'll get 5 years of standard support plus 7 additional years with an Ubuntu Pro subscription. And honestly, this will be supported. If we look at the 5-year release window for Ubuntu 24.04, this will be releasing on the 25th of April 2024 and will get mainstream support right up until April 2029. But let's add 7 onto that, and that will end in 2036. And Ubuntu 36.04 will be available back then, so you won't want to be using this release anyway. In fact, you wouldn't really be using this release then and there anyway, because you'll probably be using something like Ubuntu 34.04. I know we're far away from that, but if you know the pattern of Ubuntu releases, then that's the way we're going. But to any Ubuntu maintainers who may be watching this, Canonical, Martin Wimpress, the Ubuntu Mate team, this installer needs some working on before it can officially be recognised. It does work, it gets the job done, but it needs some accessibility work done in. Orca's support for Flutter isn't really good, but with some tweaks to the installer, I think you can get things working from there. Now the funny thing is, Ubiquity is in the Ubuntu repos, so who knows? Maybe we will get a legacy installer. I've got high hopes, because I've been looking forward to this release all year, and this thing is ready for prime time when it officially releases next week. So let's verify that we are running Ubuntu 24.04. We do LSB
line LSB
release.
Capital A caps lock off E.
Well, it helps if I was typing properly.
Capital L.
Well, there's my slip up again. LSB
line LSB LSB release hash A. No LSB modules are available. Distributor ID, Ubuntu description, Ubuntu Global Numbat Development Branch Release 24.0.
Yep, this is the development branch. So there's still plenty of room for improvement and plenty of time for improvement. I'm going to keep this thing installed right up until it officially becomes stable, because this release of Ubuntu is promising. I mean, we've been needing a new app center, but suffice it to say, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to use it. So I recommend installing the Snap Store after you boot the system, because that works. Orca isn't designed to work with Flutter. It's designed to work with GTK. And I'm sure the Ubuntu Mate devs are perfectly aware of this. They wouldn't be including it in Ubuntu Mate if they weren't aware of this now, would they? And Canonical had it there because Orca was a hard dependency of the GNOME desktop. So Ubiquity worked quite well. But anyway, are you going to try the Ubuntu Mate 24.04 beta for yourself? Did my tutorial convince you that maybe you'll wait for the full release before you can judge the installer? Are you going to install a different distribution like Linux Mint when it's officially released? I want to know what you're going to do in the comments, because this is different, and the installer for Ubuntu Mate 24.04 and indeed the rest of the Ubuntu base, I am utterly disappointed. The Ubiquity installer was much better. It had better accessibility support. It let you know that you could turn on Orca, and it's even in the official Ubuntu documentation. So now Canonical is going to have to rewrite that documentation to reflect those changes. And that documentation has been around since Ubuntu 14.04 predictably. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put them into this video. I've got to go ahead and update the packages in this distribution. And I'll see you on the other side.
Pause. Stop.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw in this video, make sure to subscribe by clicking the visible subscribe button anywhere, on the video of course. And then if you don't want to miss any future content after that, make sure to ring that bell next to it so that you never miss any future content. I'll be seeing you. This is Jordan signing off saying have a good day everyone.